back to another video today here again on Project Cars 3 to test out another vehicle. So I've been doing a couple of videos testing out some of the vehicles from the first car pack that was added to this game back in the autumn or winter a little while ago. But basically we tested out the Ferrari, the new Ferrari thingy-mabob the other week, so thought it was time to come in and test out the other week, the SF90 Stradale. So thought it was time to come in and test the Sian, which is the next car in the pack, and I will be back at some point to test out the Hennessy Venom F5, because yeah, the video on the Ferrari went down pretty well, so thought it was worth coming in and giving you my thoughts on the other cars, new cars, although they're not actually that new anymore, because I kind of missed this pack. I know I've done sort of reviews on the newer ones, but anyway, let's jump in with the Lamborghini Sian. Top speed 53.1, I'm guessing that's not miles an hour, but there, you can see all the stats. 808 horsepower, 3,900 pounds, first hybrid Lamborghini, so 774 of those horsepowers come from the engine, and the rest are from the electric motor, the remaining 34. But anyway, let's hop in the car. As with the review of the Ferrari, I'm not going to be buying this car. I have virtually no money in this game, so we'll test it out in arcade mode. First, we need to pick a colour though. We've got the sort of matte green launch spec. We've got the very nice looking sort of bluey, almost colour shift colour. We've got some carbon fibre. We've got that. We've got the 63 livery, which looks rather cool actually. Red, a sort of weird bronzy colour. Yellow with the tricolores everywhere. And that is all. So I think we'll go for this colour for now, for our first test drive, and then once we've done a first test drive, I will take it for a quick race. But anyway, let's join you out on the road to check out the Lamborghini Sian for the first time. So, we're coming to California for a drive along this road. This is actually where we tested out the Nissan 400Z. I didn't want to take it to Tuscany again, because that's where we drove the Ferrari, obviously, so I wanted to head somewhere slightly different in the Lamborghini. But yes, very cool thing. Obviously, like I said, first hybrid Lamborghini. Looks a bit mad, as all Lamborghinis should, and it looks particularly good in this colour, I think. But anyway, yeah, obviously, as I said, 774 horsepower engine, 34 horsepower motor, combined 808 horsepower, 7-speed automated manual, which, there we go, all the way up in 7th. Very cool thing. Anyway, let's put our foot down a bit. I'm not going to be driving the fastest in the world. I'm not that used to playing Project Cars 3. But obviously, whoa, pretty much the only game we can drive this in, apart from mobile games, I think, at the moment. Interesting to see if this will end up on the Horizon 5 car list. I'd be kind of surprised if it didn't, actually. Sort of up-and-coming Lamborghini technology. Hello, helicopter. But yes, rather interestingly, the name Sian roughly translates to flash of lightning, apparently, which is rather funny, because when we tested out the Ferrari, there was actually thunder and lightning going on in the background of the video, which you probably heard. So kind of amusing that really we should have been driving this for that, but anyway. And for those wondering, the full name of Lamborghini Sian FKP 37, well, I've no idea what the 37 actually means, but the FKP stands for Ferdinand Karl Piëch, the former VW chairman, or VW Group chairman. So that's why it's, oh, crunch, that's why it's called that. And obviously, yes, it is heavily based on the Aventador, but it's got the addition of a supercapacitor So rather than going down the route of a normal traditional battery, they've taken a supercapacitor, which essentially is a third of the weight of the equivalent sized battery, and that's what powers the motor. And all of that is housed within the gearbox to save weight. It's very cleverly done. But yeah, the reason why it's so exclusive and so expensive is because the supercapacitors are quite new tech, so they are rather expensive. They're rather good, and a much better alternative to batteries, especially going forward with all this focus on electric vehicles. They are essentially the solution to batteries being very difficult to use. But yeah, at the moment it's new stuff, so it's quite, crunch, that's a barrier. So it's quite expensive, which essentially means you're paying a lot of money for an extra 34 horsepower bit of electric power on your Aventador. I mean, it looks a bit more extreme, but personally I think, however wild and cool this design is, personally I actually prefer the Aventador. I mean, I guess this is more sort of interesting, more unique, but Aventador SV, I think, is probably what I'd end up going for if I was picking a new Lamborghini. So yeah, essentially you're paying well over £1 million for an Aventador with 34 more horsepower, which when you look at it that way is ridiculously expensive, but when you look at it with its new technology, supercapacitor, amazing stuff, and look at it, it doesn't seem expensive. But yeah, it is essentially an overpriced Aventador, which in Project Cars 3 is slightly irrelevant. It just means it's got more power, so it's better to drive. And it looks like this, and you can have it in this colour. But yeah, it is a cool thing, but like I say, essentially it is an overpriced Aventador. Very cool, but yeah. I guess with the new tech they can kind of justify that price, but it seems a little bit much. Anyway, that's my main thought of it, but yeah, it is a cool thing. Yeah, you can see in here, look, I mean, this is literally an Aventador. But it might be giving us a clue as to the styling of whatever replaces the Aventador. So as we had with the Rebenton, which obviously looked very much like the Aventador that eventually replaced, or that eventually became their new supercar. So the Rebenton was obviously based very heavily on the Murcielago at the time, but cost a lot more for the sort of exclusivity, and that didn't even have a supercapacitor, so that kind of puts it into perspective. But essentially that gave us a clue as to what the Aventador would be like when it came out, the Rebenton. So maybe this is a clue as to what will replace the Aventador. Maybe we'll end up with a hybrid replacing the Aventador, I wouldn't be surprised, but anyway. Right, anyway, that's probably enough of me talking a lot. Let's try and be quiet for a minute and try to drive it a little bit more on the limit. Obviously, Project Cars 3 is never going to be the best in the world at showing you what it's like, which is partly why I want it to end up in a Forza game, but it's the best game we've got it in at the moment, so that's a big jump. Let's try and make the most of it. Whoop! He says going straight into a wall. We'll push it a little bit on here and then we'll go and load up a race. That's another barrier. This is getting expensive. Actually, I need to stop picking cars in blue because the Ferrari was also blue. I'll try and remember that when we review the Hennessy. Right, I think there's a nice straight section here where we can accelerate a bit, get up to some speed, then we'll go and set up a race. Oh, actually, this is the finish line. That's rather convenient, isn't it? Although somehow we seem to be stuck at 194, which I'm pretty sure is slower than the Aventador, so that's slightly disappointing. But anyway, let's go and race many of these. So, we come to Imola for our race. Obviously, with the Ferrari, we took it around Monza, so didn't want to use that again. Let's just double check we are on the best difficulty, because essentially you need to be for it to be close and to not just easily win. But yeah, let's take a load of Sians for a race. I've equipped it with a more race-style livery with the 63s on it, which is very cool. But yeah, essentially this should be quite a close race. We did do a stream recently where we raced Caterham one-make race around Snetterton, which was a lot of fun. One-make races on here with the difficulty and aggression up to maximum can be quite close and quite interesting. This is a very expensive pack of cars going into the first corner here. Really, we should have driven this at Monza and the Ferraris around here, because this is basically a Ferrari track. But anyway, hence why it's called Enzo and Dino Ferrari. But yeah. Let's take it for a very... There's probably more Sians here than there ever will be. Get 3 laps around Imola, let's see how well we can do. Bear in mind this is the hardest difficulty, which really should be slightly more difficult than this. So if I concentrate, I could probably even win. Not to say I will, because I'll probably make some stupid mistake. But I could be being a lot more aggressive with the AI here if I wanted to. Oh, he's gone for it. You're slightly out of track limits, that'll get you disqualified in Formula 1, or get your time removed at least. Oh, I outbraked myself a bit there, but there was somebody on the outside who came off even worse. Here we go, on to lap 2. Oh, I've gone a bit wide there. See, I'm not driving well, and we're nearly, or not quite, we're just outside of the top 10. They almost slow each other up. Well, they do. They're sort of in a pack, and they... Oh, that was weird. Cars sort of got magneted together, and it sort of pulled me out wide. It's very odd. We're slightly extending track limits here. It's fine. Slightly. Whoa! Where did he come from? It is very cool racing a whole pack of priceless limited edition hypercars, even if it's slightly unrealistic having this many of them. Alright, one more lap.
This is your last lap. If they leave the door open, go for the pass.
Oh my god. that wasn't really them leaving the door open, that was me forgetting to brake, and we lost a lot of time in the gravel, but was somehow 11th. Oh my god. This is what happens when aggression's turned up. They're being... Yes, I am also being very aggressive, but so are they. Just try not to get stuck to the car on the outside this time. But anyway, yeah, what do I think of the Sian? So, like I say, it's a very cool thing, very exclusive, new technology, exclusive car, gives us some kind of hint as to what the next Lamborghini generation, next V12 Lamborghini could look like, and could be like. So, in those terms, it's a brilliant car, and it warrants a slightly higher price tag than the Aventador, which is obviously what it's based on. But if you look at it another way, it's a very expensive Aventador with not much more power. So, yeah, I kind of explained that earlier, but it is very expensive for basically a modified, lightly modified Aventador. There's a few other things changed, like the exhaust system and whatnot, and we've made a terrible mess of the penultimate corner, and we're not going to finish in the top 10. But yeah. That is my thoughts on the Sian, and that is going to do it for a first drive of this new Project Cars 3, which has actually been here for a while. If you didn't see the video on the Ferrari, that went up a few weeks ago, so go and check that one out. And yeah, let me know if you enjoy this one, because I'm going to be back very soon to test out the Hennessy, as well as potentially some other cars in this game that aren't from one of the packs. But yeah, that was a bit of a disastrous last couple of corners. We should have been in the top 10, really. As you can see, the hardest difficulty isn't that hard. I just made a stupid mistake at the end. But anyway, that is going to be all for this video, taking a first look at the Lamborghini Sian here on Project Cars 3. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.